Hello, welcome back for another class. This time we're going to be discussing a topic that I know I brought up before in attempting to show you a little bit more of the fretboard by virtue of taking smaller elements of the fretboard down here, starting with like the first three notes of each mode in the major scale off the first two strings, string number 6 and string number 5. And taking those through the octaves. Now what we're going to talk about is a little bit of variation between, those activities and what you can get out of that. The idea is to milk all these ideas for what it's worth. That's what you want to do. You want to be able to try to get the most out of it as possible. Okay? So let's talk about the first area here. If you remember back to the scale, 3-octave scale pattern PDF, we're going to start with F Lydian. Okay, in this area right here. So now you can play that idea just like that, and then you can mix the notes up and do different variations. So you can do that, but the other thing that we're gonna talk about here is doing different patterns. Now, one thing we can do is we can drop. Well, actually, before we drop any notes out, let's look at dropping one note out. Okay, and I encourage everybody to try their own ideas here. But we're gonna drop one note out of this. We're gonna drop the C note out. So essentially, what we're gonna have is we're gonna have F, we're gonna have G, and A, B, and D. And that works kind of more or less over a dominant chord. That's going to work well over a G7, maybe even over a D minor. Okay, so that's one note you can drop out. Now let's see, let's take, so it's like doing essentially 3 notes, then 2 notes, 3 notes, 2 notes. So let's do it the other way. Let's drop out the G. I'm just going to do F, A, then B, C, D. So that one probably would work over at F7 or F major 7. Work over D minor. Also work over a G7. So that's one other variation. Now the other variation is by taking out a note on each string. So now we're minus 2 notes, so now we're just playing 4 notes. So it'd be F to A. Let's drop in the G out and the C out. So F, A, B, D. That would work well over G7. Also, it's outlining your minor 7 flat 5. It may work over a D minor 7. So you can experiment with that. Now the other thing we'll do is we'll take it and we'll drop out the A note here and the C note. So now what we have is left over is F, G, then B, then D, essentially a G7 arpeggio. Okay, so those are some of the variations there. Now let's move on to G Mixolydian. Let's take out, well, we can do the same variations there. We can do by dropping a note out on just the sixth string, or the first part of the pattern. So we'll drop the A note out. So we have G, B, C, D, E. Now works over a C major 7. You can also do dropping out the D note. Again, it would still work over C major 7. Okay, we can also take out and drop out the A and the D. Essentially, you get a C major or C major 7 arpeggio. Oh, one more thing, just to back up real quick, because I forgot. Going back to this first Lydian position, as well as doing that G7, you can also do a D minor 7 arpeggio, which is F, A, C, D. Now the other thing we can do here is also by taking out, we're going to take out the B, and we'll take out the D. So now what we're left with is a A minor 7 arpeggio. And then the other way we can do this, we can take out the A and the C, and now we're left with a E minor 7 arpeggio. Okay, so that's one other thing we can do with that. And as we move on, going through these different positions, you'll see that there's different harmonies that open up just by way of dropping certain notes out of these 3-octave patterns, okay? The other thing is to, along with these transformations, is that you can use them along with, improvisation as well. You can get a lot of mileage out of these. Now the next one comes from Aeolian. All right, so now what we have here is we can, do the same 2-3 options, by playing 2 notes on one string, 3 on the other. Or doing it vice versa. We can also do by dropping 2 notes out of each, or 1 note out of each string. That's a D minor 7 arpeggio. Then the other one is by dropping out the C note. You can also do it by dropping the D out, which means dropping the D and the B out. Then we get an F major arpeggio there. Okay. So that covers the Locrian area. Or sorry, Aeolian area. Now Locrian, B Locrian, now what we can do here is we can take out, we can do the same options here with Locrian. Now if we take out the D note and the F note, we're left with a C major 7 arpeggio. Now if we take out the C note and the F note, we have a what do we have? We have a G7 arpeggio. Okay. And if we do take out the C and the F note, now we're left with a E minor 7 arpeggio. Okay. Now moving on to C Ionian. Again, we can do the 3-2 option. Now it doesn't matter which 2 notes you put on either string. You can go C D and then go F G A. Or you can go C to E. Okay. Okay, now if we take out the E and we take out the G, we have a D minor 7 arpeggio. If we take out the D and the G, it's F major 7 arpeggio. And if we take out the D and the F, we're left with a A minor 7 arpeggio. Okay, now let's go to the Dorian. Let's cover Dorian and Phrygian, and then what I can do is show you how to use these within a solo. But actually, for time's sake, because we're heading on 13 minutes here, I'll just go through some of these options over a 2/5 backing track. One of may sound familiar to some of you guys. Okay, so what the idea is just to go through again and experiment with some of these different examples. And it works well through this 2/5. We'll stick over, probably do over here. Really staying along with C Ionian. Okay, I didn't get the idea. I'm just basically going in between a lot of those different areas. The other thing is, what was I going to say? So as you're going through them, you can also do different variations on each one. So you can actually go and do like 3 notes on one, like do it as written, and then you can do like an arpeggio, and then do like an A minor or 7 arpeggio here, and then you can actually go back up. You can do like the C major or 7 arpeggio. So, real quick on that. So I'm kind of using all of them. Okay, so this is really a conceptual lesson, and I think after a while, you start working with these ideas, they will come out in your playing a lot more. So what I want you to do is just really stick with the backing track and really try to be deliberate with some of these ideas and see how they work out. Don't worry about playing a bunch of notes. It's not about that. It's about trying to see these ideas in areas of opportunity, and then you can start building more interesting lines, even within those little 3-octave scale patterns. There's a lot of stuff you can do in there. So stick with it, keep at it, practice. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. And of course, as always, stay true, stay on fire.